Hi everyone, welcome back to another Kitronik Tech Talks with Smoke and Mirrors. My name's Emma.
Oh, and I'm Dominic from Smoke and Mirrors.
Yeah,
What are we talking about today, Emma?
we are talking about laser compatible rubbers, which we sell here at Kitronik.
Let's start by holding some up, shall we?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
what are we talking about when we talk about laser compatible rubbers? We're
These,
talking about
just these beautiful A4 laser compatible rubbers are rubber compatible for laser cutting. I think we've specified CO2 lasers.
yes. I mean, they'd work on. Yes, they wouldn't be suitable for anything but a CO2 laser, really.
Mm,
A normal powered laser cutter, like you might have
yeah.
in school, or someone might use for crafting or creating. The same sort of stuff that you're using to cut acrylics and plywoods. But essentially, what it is a rubber that is specifically formulated for being engraved by a CO2 laser cutter.
Mm-hmm.
And we have two types.
Yes, we do. We have a regular, it's a grey purpose made laser compatible rubber.
And we have a green coloured eco purpose made laser compatible rubber.
Yes.
And their prime intent is to make custom made rubber stamps.
Yes.
Although we
Yes.
will go into other uses for it in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hold up one that I made for home not
Yeah.
that long ago. We can put it under the camera if you want to, but I'll
Yeah,
hold it up until you've turned it
absolutely.
on. So a very simple one that I made on the wall outside my house at home. We have a box of books,
Ah,
a
yeah.
book box,
Ah,
if you will,
a book
a
box.
little library, as they call them. And at some point, someone was turning up and just taking all the books in one go. So just showing up with a box, sweeping up, which is like sort of the idea of it, but also sort of not the idea of it. So every other book or so, we'd stamp it with free, as in the books are free, rather than something you can sort of take wholesale and go stick on eBay. That was the idea. And I did that with laser compatible rubber, as you can see, just lettering and just used a piece of doweling, baton wood there, just to glue my stamp onto, like
Mm-hmm.
super simple.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may as well show some
Yeah,
ones you made.
go for it.
So here's one that you made, Emma. Do you want to talk me through it?
Yeah, so I actually made two in one go. One specifically to show off the grey, like regular laser rubber, and then one green to show off the green laser rubber. So these are just an initial, like a monogram, and then a little certified, like something you'd find in a library or an admin department.
But Emma, why is it written backwards?
Ah, well, because if you print something
There's no
face
real way
down.
to show, so you did do it because the right way written on the front. But sorry, carry on.
So you have to mirror it when you do a stamp. Otherwise, when you print it, it will be the wrong way round. It will be mirrored.
So I think if you're already running a small business where you're making crafting items or stuff for Etsy,
Yeah.
or you're maybe doing reprographics work, printing onto objects and doing customization,
Mm-hmm.
having the ability to make custom stamps is super useful, not just for the ability to make and sell custom
Mm-hmm.
stamps, but for customizing things like your receipts, your packing notes, putting like thank yous on there. One use case I heard, and I don't know how legitimate this is, but a customer of mine has to write that she sat and read with the child every night for school.
Oh,
And instead of writing the same thing every time I sat and read, she made a stamp, which I think is probably a little bit naughty. But hey, like if you've got that equipment, why not do it?
yeah, yeah.
I have got here, if we switch back to the camera, I'll hold them up
Absolutely.
until you bring it. I made two little stamps, and I'm actually going to very quickly make some crude stamps here on camera, especially if we've got some scissors handy, which I don't think we do.
Actually, we do.
We do.
We do.
But anyway, what I'm going to use is double-sided tape, which we actually sell at Kitronik. we have double-sided tape as an item here, and cut myself a little piece, and we'll pop that on. I've used a piece of broom handle, or any dowel would do, I'm sure, and I'm going to hand that to you because you might have some nails.
Yes, I do.
Well, they're not much longer than mine, really, but I want to try and get the, this is live making, so it's bound to have some issues.
Let us know, actually, in the comments if you would like to see some more live making sessions. I would like to do some.
That could be fun, couldn't it? There we go.
Yeah.
So that's double-sided tape. So I've made the end of that dowel super sticky, and then I've got here just a very basic check mark. I'm going to push my dowel onto the rubber. So there I have.
Oh, have we frozen?
We've frozen the camera somehow.
Ooh.
Switch back to the main cam, see if that's still going. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
so I've made myself a little rubber stamp, which you won't be able to see now because.
Let me go back to the demo cam, see whether I might have to restart it. Sorry about this, folks. We love technical difficulties. It's
Well, anyway, so if
there you go.
There we go. So I've got a little tiny stamper here I got from, I think from, is it called Tiger or Tiger?
Yeah.
We don't sell ink stamps here at Kitronik at the moment, but I've got a pad here, and there we go. I mean, it probably doesn't show up terribly well, but it's working all right.
Yeah.
Let's do the same with, no, confusingly, I'm going to use the green eco rubber with the red stamper, and I've used the grey rubber with the green stamper, so it's going to get confusing as to which is which. But there you go. So as you can see, I've stamped my little red X, and I've got my notepad here. That one actually shows up super clear. I'm quite pleased with that one. Obviously I haven't re-inked that, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ink stamps. Imagine being able to make any ink stamp that you want. Now I wonder, Emma, if you could pull up the examples that we have of how to set up ink stamping in software.
Absolutely. Would you like to start with Lightburn or Lasercut?
Let's start with Lasercut 5.3 as the older software. So we didn't create one. So if you're using a laser cutter, chances are you're either running software that is Lasercut or sometimes called LaserScript a software, which is an older software if you have an older machine. Of course, you may be also running something like 2D design directly to your laser, or RDWorks, something like that. But if you have LaserScript, then within that, or Lasercut 5.3 or above, within that, you may have an option within your cut layers called grade engrave. So you could cut, engrave, and grade engrave, and you've probably also got hole, but we're not going to talk about hole today. Grade engrave will give you a gradated edge to your engraving. So if you imagine you have a letter 1 or an L, like a bar, instead of it just being a bar with a cliff edge, like a 90-degree edge to the plane, what you're going to get is like a slopey edge. Why is this advantageous? Well, if you imagine, so if we just not slowly, but immediately cut back to my free stamp here. So as you can see on this stamp, there's some very fine lettering here. What I've written is, and I just got to try and, book exchange and not for sale. And so that lettering is very, very small. But the danger is, say, if you have a letter like this L here on the sail, on the edge, is that it might sort of bend aside as you're pushing it down for stamping. Well, if you've got a gradated edge, a sloped edge, then you're giving it some reinforcing.
Yeah, you're providing support for the letter.
And these are very mildly done that way. I'm unsure if on the camera you can see that level of detail.
If you hold it up, I will be able to. Oh,
Oh, we've
again.
killed it again.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, not to worry.
There we go.
We can also say, oh yes, definitely. If we look at it with our eyes, which I'm doing now, we can see that the letters are sloped somewhat like the edge of a Toblerone, i.e. they have an angle.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I would like to show, well, let you show Alistair's little project.
So just before we came on the stream, we were given by one of the engineers here a little torch. And what he's done is create a housing for it from the eco rubber. So essentially what it looks like is a bunch of layers all stacked one on top of the other, and he's cut the shape in these flat planes.
Oh, so it's a bit like 3D printing.
Yes.
But with a laser cutter. So he's created a shape on the laser and cut multiples of it, with the cavity within the cut being the cavity for the torch.
Exactly.
And then created an end and maybe adjusted each layer of that so it fits the torch well. Let's hold that up.
Absolutely.
And well, that's one of the features of this rubber, is that it has good friction to it. It's grippy. And we should mention, and I will do this by holding up the rubber sheet, it actually has two sides. One of the sides has a more textured finish, better to hold the inks. It's sort of a rougher finish, and the other side's shinier. Yes, and you definitely can see that sheen kicking back from the lights here in Studio Kitronik. And that's the same on the grey as well. This is the piece that I was using for testing, and I did one at very high power just to see what would happen. So it's got that horrible mark on it there, but just by way of explanation, as you can see on this side, it's duller. That's the side which has a slight texture, better to take ink, and then the other side is that shine.
Yeah, it is also resistant to alcohol, alcohol resistant. So it's easy to clean. If you've got some isopropyl alcohol somewhere, that'll do the trick.
Yeah, so the advantage of that, of course, is that if you're using various types of ink,
so
obviously, I mean, there are ink stampers that you can buy which are usually water-based. But you know, if you mark it with something else, you can clean it up well without the rubber deteriorating. Obviously, some rubbers do start to melt and do weird things with alcohol treatments.
Yes,
absolutely. I'm gonna cut some. I have a piece actually. I don't want to waste that nice bit there. Here's some that I was using before. So if you don't have a laser cutter, there is nothing stopping you cutting it to size with scissors. And I was going to experiment with this, so it probably isn't an ideal use case, but my partner does some lino printing and has tools for removing material lino. I think if you were to stick this to a substrate like MDF or something like that, you could definitely do that. But laser engraving is the primary use case.
And weren't you saying something about a jar earlier as well?
Right. So, in fact, handy that you say that, because if you see the blank here, rather than me having to bring it in. So I had some of these sort of IKEA jars with metal locks on them, and they have a rubber seal, and I was using those with some solar powered fairy lights, and I got them hung up on my fence in my garden at home, and the rubber on one of the seals completely perished in the sunlight and water. And so what I did was I took the old seal off, I put it in my laser cutter, which has a camera, I scanned that shape, I then recreated that shape, and then just cut it out of laser rubber, giving me essentially the ideal replacement for that seal. They used to sell packs of them at IKEA, now they don't. So you know, I could sit there, cut them out, and put them on eBay and selling them as a replacement, I suppose. But
that's cool, though. That's cool that you can replace it.
It was good to be able to repair your stuff rather than have to replace it with new stuff, and that's been super helpful for that. And
so Mark's actually just posted the resource example, which makes me think. we could go ahead and have a look at the website.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, perfect. So if I take us through over here, we have the grey laser compatible rubber and the the green laser compatible rubber. As you can see, they both come in A4 size, so that's 210 by 294 millimeters.
What's the main difference between the two, Emma?
So the green eco-compatible laser compatible rubber is made from organic compounds. So it's made in an eco-friendly way. It's also recyclable as well, with 100% natural dyes as well.
It is worth mentioning, isn't it? Because this laser compatible rubber has been the standard for stamp making as long as I've been in laser cutters, about 10, nearly 11 years. But what it replaces is stamp making rubber that is incredibly smelly when you cut it.
Yes.
And I have here actually at Kitronik, I think when they were looking for alternate suppliers at some point in the past, or maybe it was for a different color, I don't quite remember, but we did test some rubber that was non-odorless. It was odorful.
Yes. Yeah.
And it really, really smelled terrible.
Yeah.
And if you've ever put I mean, like a pencil eraser or anything like that to engrave in a laser cutter, the smell is not very nice at all.
Yeah.
But this stuff has no odor really, essentially. I mean, it's odorless. It's probably going a little far, but the odor is very low odor.
Yeah.
Call it.
Yeah. It's definitely not as noticeable.
The sheets are 2.3 millimeters thick.
Yes.
And that's true of both types. And they both are A4 sized.
Yes. Yeah.
They have a fair amount of weight to them.
They do. They are fairly dense.
Which I think makes them sort of ideal for other, side uses. So when we mentioned about Alistair's little torch holder here, but any form of feet for a project.
Yeah, that could work.
Bumpers, kind of. I was thinking, of examples I could maybe knock together for the live stream, but didn't. I was thinking maybe making a bumper for my phone. But sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I've got some examples I can show.
Awesome. Oh yes, that's what you were going to do, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's fair enough. Well, so the main other difference, just before we head to that, is that the eco laser compatible rubber slightly more expensive.
Yes.
Than the grey laser compatible rubber. For the aforementioned reasons, it's made in a more specialised and eco-friendly way. So if I just head over to resources and maker tutorials, this is my
oh, it is cool.
My sort of little nook of the website. A fair while ago, here we go. So these are the stamps you can actually see that we've been showing you.
Yeah.
And these are available as DXFs for you to have a go at yourself.
Does that include the bodies of the stampers?
Yes, it does.
Well, I think I was going to ask about those. We'll come to that in a minute.
So you can see what it includes here. So you'll have just the design up here. This is the design plus an outline, which you will need to use this one if you are going to set it as an engraved design. If you don't have that outline on it, it will engrave the wrong parts of your design.
Well, this is a really good point, actually. Is it worth at this point jumping in and popping up the light burn example?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think you made a little video.
Yes, I did.
So this is Lightburn, which is a popular laser layout software, and it has fairly good abilities to lay out. But what we're showing there, and just running back to the beginning, Emma.
Oh yeah, it loops.
Oh, it loops. Well, there you go. So once you've chosen your layer for engraving, and on Lightburn it's called a fill. The important thing is, if you wanted the letters, for example, for certified there to be raised, if you're going to engrave them away, it must have a boundary. Otherwise, it's going to engrave the letters with depth rather than engrave them proud, if that makes sense. Um, and in Lightburn, if you double click on your fill layer, the layer that's going to be actually removing material from your rubber, and choose advanced, and it should come up again in a second here for me to talk about while it's on screen momentarily. You can choose what they're calling the ramp length, and you can see it's being circled there by the mouse cursor, and you can give that distance, and that's very similar to your grade engrave on laser cut or laser script 5.3. And here in the preview you can see that sort of fuzziness around the edge. That's the ramping up around the edges of your stamp. So there are tools in modern software to help you make better stamps. They require a little bit of experimentation to find out what's just right. Getting those speeds and powers just right for the stamp you want to make could take some experimentation. I know that when I've made stamps, I've often had to experiment about a little bit.
It's as Rushmere 3D down in our comments has just said, they used this before, and the first attempt they forgot to mirror it. I also did.
I don't think you're I don't think you're really doing reprographics until you forget to mirror something. I mean, I've done that with vinyl on t-shirts before. I mean, I didn't get all the way to stamping it onto the t-shirt, but almost. I could mirroring the stuff is it's like putting shrink wrap on the wires. Like you solder it together and you're like, now I should shrink wrap it, but you needed to put that shrink wrap on before you did those soldering.
Hindsight is 20/20 and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not an awful lot more to say about that, but I do just want to very quickly go over these handles. So if we can to a camera.
Oh yes, we can.
So super basic is you're going to find yourself a bit of scrap wood, and that's about the right shape. And I'm pretty sure, I think I used super glue on that one. And then with these two super simple ones, we've just there's a bit of old broom handle in the dev lab, and I cut that just before we went on air, and it's double-sided tape, and gives you something to hold on to and push with. Then we can get a bit more fancy. So Emma's stamps that the examples of are on the resources, blogs resources section of Kitronik. And so this is made from stacked, it looks like bamboo. Bamboo. And those parts are available on the DXF, and they've been glued together to make a very nice stamper. And then even with the extra touch of engraving the the output of the stamp on the top of the stamp. Nice touch.
That's handy with a round one as well, just so that you can tell what orientation the stamp's going to be in. It's just a little.
Well, I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, that's great. And then we don't sell them at Kitronik at the moment, but you can buy sort of pro level shaped wooden blocks. I don't exactly remember what I searched, but I think I got these from a large online retailer. A globally large online retailer being sold through their markets. And they're essentially they're beautifully shaped pieces of wood, and then with a bit of double-sided tape or glue, you could make a pro level custom stamp that you could sell on or send to a customer. Cons.
I find it to be quite dusty.
It is dusty.
Sure about you.
Oh, we have some videos, don't we?
Yes, we do. We have some lovely videos, courtesy of Dominic. It's the grey one.
So this is the grey laser compatible rubber engraving. I mean, that's I think that was. So anyway, what you can see here is the head of the laser moving side to side, doing an engraving operation, and essentially blasting away that top surface of the rubber. And you can see that sort of very fine white smoky powder. That's the material itself being vaporized, turned into a a gas,
Mm.
a dusty gas.
Yeah.
And if you bring up the green video,
Yeah.
you can see even more clearly on this one that white residue there. That's the surface material from the rubber. It's being reduced to a powder by the laser beam. That's literally what's going on. You're removing something. That stuff has to go somewhere. That's where it goes.
Yeah.
But that can easily be removed with alcohol wipe.
Yeah. It's not difficult to get it off. With a little bit of elbow grease, isopropyl alcohol.
Well, those
Something
wipes we were
similar.
using earlier, they did a great job of it.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I have to say the feel, the texture of that dust to me is a lot like after you've been doing a pencil drawing and you're rubbing out,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
the remains of the rubber.
Yes.
That's exactly what it feels like on my fingers.
Yes.
I mean, I guess they're both called rubber for a reason.
Oh, Rushmere 3D says there's a nice handle design on Thingiverse. Thank you, Rushmere.
Excellent. So Thingiverse, for
good
those who
idea.
don't know, is a resource depository primarily for 3D printing. There are some laser cut resources and other available downloadable resources on there, and other libraries exist
Yeah.
as well. I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah. So takes us back to our hi. So yes, thank you so much for watching. Any last words?
Not really. I mean, we should return at the end of this month.
Yeah.
Our normal slot is usually going to be the last Thursday of every month, unless, of course, there's something happens or there's some incident.
Yeah.
I've made that sound ominous, but where appropriate, we will be doing our live stream on the last Thursday of the month.
Yeah.
I think the last Thursday of December though is in the holidays, so we won't be doing it then. I think we said we're going to do Black MDF next time.
Yeah.
But don't hold us to it. But if you do join us, you'll find out then. Right, then. So goodbye, Emma.
Guys, see you later, everyone. Hope you all come back next time. And we'll see you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.